It certainly was a roller coaster campaign for Republican presidential hopeful Newt Gingrich. At times, he was written off only to bounce back with some very strong debate performances and two critical primary wins. But in the end, Gingrich, like the others, was outspent and outgunned by Mitt Romney. The former House Speaker officially dropped out of the race only 24 hours ago, and Newt Gingrich is here in the Situation Room with us right now. Mr. Speaker, thanks very much for coming in.
It's good to be with you.
Looking back first, what was the biggest mistake you made?
I think not starting very early and laying out the kind of agenda I laid out yesterday and just sticking to it and ignoring the day-to-day political infighting, the day-to-day news stories, because I think that the more visionary I was, the better we were doing, including being the front runner in December. And the more I got sucked into the daily politics, the weaker we were. Because
I remember when you started off with a major speech, but then you went to the Greek islands in the Mediterranean. What was that all about?
Well, we'd been laying out for a year what we were going to do and how we were going to do it, but all of that stuff got blown way out of proportion because I made a mistake in bringing in traditional consultants. And what I was trying to run...
What does that mean, traditional consultants?
People who wanted to focus on raising money and running 30-second attack ads.
Which is what Mitt Romney has, traditional consultants. That's worked out well for him.
Well, it has. And I think Romney's running the campaign Romney can run. But that's not the kind of campaign I wanted to run or the kind of campaign I could successfully run. I wanted to campaign... the reason I was running was to try to develop a new generation of big solutions. And frankly, it turned out to be much harder to bring that into the political conversation than I would have expected.
Because the way he did it, basically spending a ton of money, crushing you at Iowa, and then certainly after you won in South Carolina and Florida, they just outspent you and tried to destroy your reputation.
Sure. I mean, they ran a very traditional campaign with a lot of resources. I mean, to give Mitt his due, he has spent 6 years building a presidential campaign team, raising the money, building a financial network. When they had to be totally ruthless, they were, which may be good training for dealing with Barack Obama this fall. And the fact is that in the traditional boundaries of politics, he's going to be the nominee. And I think you've got to have some respect for the fact that he was able to put it together.
So with hindsight, he did it right, you did it wrong?
Well, in hindsight, he was trying to do something different than I was. I thought it was possible to launch with the new media to put together the kind of campaign that was much, much more idea-oriented. And it turned out that it's either I wasn't able to do it or it's not something you can do.
You shouldn't be surprised because you've been in politics for a long time. The Obama-Biden campaign now using some of your words in a new commercial, hammering away at Mitt Romney. I'll play a clip.
Okay. The Romney machine can drive down turnout. It can run over opponents with negative ads. It doesn't seem capable of inspiring positive turnout. And the result is, I think, very, very worrisome if you're thinking about the fall campaign.
Is he still the most anti-immigrant candidate?
I think of the four of us, yes.
Are you calling Mitt Romney a liar?
Yes.
Obama-Biden, the truth team, they call it. How do you feel when you see your words used in a campaign commercial like that to hammer away at Mitt Romney?
You have a rough and tumble primary season, you're going to get words like that. I think when McCain tried to use Hillary Clinton's words against Obama, it didn't work all that well. The fact is you have a president with the worst unemployment record of any president since the Great Depression. You have a president with the highest price of gasoline of any president in American history on average. You have a president who's running up huge deficits to crush our children and grandchildren with a level of debt we've never dreamed of before. This president will say and do anything in order to try to make sure we don't pay attention to his record.
You still believe Mitt Romney's a liar?
I still believe that the Romney campaign said things that weren't true.
Forget about the Romney campaign. Is Mitt Romney a liar?
The governor said things at times that weren't true. I think that's true.
So the answer is yes.
I also believe that compared to Barack Obama, I would trust Mitt Romney 100 times over.
Because that reference to him yesterday was sort of a lukewarm, it wasn't really an endorsement that you made to Mitt Romney.
Well, look, I said I'm going to campaign for him. I said he will appoint dramatically better judges than the president. He'll do a dramatically better job creating jobs than the president. He'll do far more to balance the budget than the president. I went down a pretty long list of why I think Mitt Romney's better than Barack Obama. And this is a comparative business. Our choice isn't Mitt Romney or Ronald Reagan.
Would you consider what you said yesterday an endorsement
I thought I was endorsing him pretty. The only distinction I think people draw is at some point in the next couple of weeks, Mitt and I are going to be together, and there'll be some kind of endorsement. But I tried yesterday to send every signal I could that if you're a conservative and you do not want to reelect Barack Obama, you have one choice, and that's Mitt Romney, and we need to find a way to beat Barack Obama.
So from your perspective, you endorsed him yesterday, even though there'll be a more formal endorsement. Have you been speaking with him? You have a date yet when you're going to get together with him?
We don't have a specific date when we're going to do that, but I've talked with the governor. I've met with his campaign manager. We're coordinating with his policy team. And I mean, in some areas, I mean, they've been very generous in pointing out that on the issue of American energy independence, I was way ahead of them. I developed a much more comprehensive plan. They're eager to work with us on those kind of platform issues.
Will we see Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich together out there on the campaign trail?
Absolutely.
Will you go out there and campaign for him independently, go to some areas where you're well-liked?
I will do everything I can to help defeat Barack Obama and to help elect a Republican House and a Republican Senate.
Now, you've emerged from this experience, your campaign, $4 million in debt?
Right.
So how do you get that money? What are you going to do?
I'm going to do a lot of meetings with people begging for a little help. And,
begging?
Well, of course. When you're no longer in the race, you know, you go out and you say, here's what I did as a citizen, here's what I'm doing. I'd love to have your support financially. And we've had a number of folks come through in the last few days and say they're proud that I ran and they're proud that we tried. And at newt.org, we're getting a fair amount of money coming in.
Who do you think should be on his short list for vice presidential running mate?
Well, I think you always have to consider three things. Are they capable of being president? Are they philosophically compatible? And will they help you win? In that order. I think that's the order you got to think about it. I think he's got a pretty wide range. So I think our bench is actually pretty deep now. I think you look at a Marco Rubio on one front.
Is he ready to be president of the United States, you think?
Oh, I think he is. Yeah, he was a great Speaker of the House in Florida. He's very knowledgeable, very serious person.
And you said Bobby Jindal, the governor of Louisiana?
Bobby Jindal, the governor of Louisiana.
You think he's ready to be president of the United States?
Absolutely.
And who else is on your short list?
Joe Biden. Remember, again, it's compared.
Joe Biden's been in government a long time. He's a very smart guy. You know him.
Joe Biden has ridden the train from Delaware to Washington for many, many years.
He's done a lot of other things, too.
He has. I'm just saying, I think if the comparison is, do I think that Bobby Jindal or Marco Rubio would be as good as Joe Biden? Absolutely.
So those are your two recommendations.
No, I'd also look at Condi Rice, who brings a lot of talent to the potential. I would look at Susana Martinez, the governor of New Mexico. You've got to have somebody on the list, I think, like the governor of Indiana, Mitch Daniel, who has been really a remarkably successful governor.
You don't like Rob Portman, the senator?
I like Rob Portman a lot. I mean, that's why I'm saying we have a really deep bench now in a way that you wouldn't have said 6 or 8 or 10 years ago, of a whole new generation of people who are very competent.
I got some video I'm going to show you because we're out of time. But take a look at this video. We'll put it up there. You see a young Wolf Blitzer. You see a young Speaker of the House in Manchester, New Hampshire. That was the first interview I did with you after you were Speaker. I had a show called Inside Politics Weekend. I guess we both look a lot younger in those days than we do right now.
That's almost cruel.
That was the mid-'90s. You remember those days.
You have a very good archive system here at CNN.
Excellent archive system. Hey, thanks so much for coming in.
Good to be with you.
We'll have you back. Government security forces allegedly storm a major university in Syria with deadly results. New information coming into the Situation Room. And in our next hour, get this, wildfires as a terror tactic. Details of what an al-Qaeda leader is urging followers to do right now, even from beyond the grave.